Yeah, that's most of change. But yeah, Orcs Must Die 2, the one thing I honestly really liked in the first one, I liked the Weavers.
Yeah.
And like I liked that system that I was just like you have something else to put your your crap into. You
Yeah.
know?
It's like instead of building traps, I can like make them more efficient, or add damage to my player character,
Yeah.
which is like the whole thing with your strategy, right? Like,
Yeah,
that's
and, like,
your strategy is based around your character.
Yeah, and like my traps are basically like my two big traps are basically barricades and tar.
It's like I want things to take longer to get places so that I have more time to shoot them in the face.
Yeah, and most of the time it's just to funnel them because I basically use like environmental pits to like their fullest advantage.
Yeah.
Because it's like, is there a pit here? And then I just vomit out barricades and tar, and then it's just like, okay, this is where I'm sitting now.
Yeah.
And then like with the advantages, luckily that's why I also keep the launcher in hand to take care of shit that flies and shit that's too big to launch in a direction.
Yeah.
You know. I wonder if the spring chaps, can they fling big shit? Is that an upgrade they can get?
I believe so. I think that's a thing.
Spring chaps sometimes flip heavier
Sometimes.
enemies.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm not sure if I would give a shit about that.
I mean, it has its place if you want to use it. Like, if
Yeah.
string traps are a thing that you like, and like sometimes they make a lot of sense, sometimes they don't.
Like
You
on
just-
the level we were just on, I could have spring trapped the shit out of that area right there.
That's,
I probably
that's
didn't.
what I like, is that it affects things, right? And like wall trap is like the wall version of a spring trap, except it doesn't fling at heavier enemies.
it
You
just
never get that chance, but you do have, like, you can put a stun on it,
Yeah.
right? That will stun heavier enemies. So it's like things make sense. And I don't know. I like the design of 2 a lot. I thought that 2-player co-op was as far as it needed to go. I think the siege mode is really amazing, but I don't really like the MOBA aspect. I guess that's the only really way they could get Orcs Must Die Unleashed to work as a siege mode, is to have their survival mode as also
Like, yeah.
MOBA.
Yeah, to have like survival and MOBA exist in like 2 halves. My big problem with Unchained right now is that there's just not enough maps. And it's like, yeah, I enjoy playing the game, but it's like,
There's not a whole lot of variety. It's like, oh, this map is exactly the same, except it got harder. Added some more ways to switch some enemies around. And it's like, eh.
yeah, and like the good thing about it is it doesn't feel like, as far as I'm concerned, for a MOBA that has like a pretty like in-depth crafting system, I don't feel like I'm too far in between like picking stuff up in it. Where it's just like I don't feel like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm getting.
They really need to add auto pickups in that. It's like,
Yeah, it's
oh, you need to run around the entire map instead of defending your point so that you can pick up these items. And it's like, oh. Ugh.
No, yeah, it definitely does.
It's weird like that.
Yeah, but it's definitely one of those things where it's like at least it doesn't feel like it's too far in between like me getting something.
Yeah.
That works though into like their daily login system and their account level ups, because when you level up your account, every so often they'll just give you like every couple levels. They'll
No,
give you
they're
a
really good
huge
about
drop of stuff.
giving you items and things to work with. It's like they've got daily logins, they've got pretty decent drops.
Yeah, and they
Their
encourage you to
chests
build
when
like
you get them are generous.
yeah, and the early levels give you a ton of rift embers. So like right when you figure out a character you want to play, like I did, like I played Smolder really early on. Really beneficial, because like when I built her, you get so much more experience for your character.
I think
when you
it's just a flat 20 plus 25, right?
Yeah.
And it's like,
And then that stacks with any other experience stuff that you get. So she levels up like every 2 matches for me at minimum. Sometimes I'll get like a level in a match if it's a really good one.
yeah.
So like a base average of like 2 matches and a level up, like that's pretty damn good. And like my Smolder's really high level. She's like level 30 for me.
It's just really weird how they did it, is that like a character level equals an account level.
Yeah.
So it's like character times 100 is your max account level. and as your account levels up, you get whatever drops. Although it's like basically 4 levels are skulls, and then the 5th level will be something interesting.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, I don't know. We'll see where it goes. I think it's good. I think that I would have preferred basically Orcs Must Die 2 again as Orcs Must Die 3 with plot and maybe like character selection. Like a lot of things that Orcs Must Die Unleashed has, except where 2 people can function and there's lore, basically. Because it feels less like Orcs Must Die and more like a reskinned version of a different game that uses Orcs Must Die characters.
Yeah,
I think there's not enough like voice lines and the humor that's essential to the game. It has moments, but like not a whole lot of them.
Yeah, and the characters like repeat lines way too often too, which is like another big problem. Because like they basically have special lines for their unique traps. So, like playing Smolder, she has like her own couple of special lines for like lighting lots of enemies on fire, but then like she like puts down her napalm trap, and then she's just like, oh, blah blah blah, and just says her voice line, and I'm like, she has like 2 lines replacing that down.
Yeah,
I'm like,
I place down like 10 of them a match, and you play her for like 50 matches. It starts getting like, oh yeah, that's a great joke. I'm so proud of you.
Because like to be fair, some of it was pretty funny. Like typing in like her / joke and taunt and stuff like that. It was funny listening to her, but like it's true, like there's just not enough. And like this loops back around to my issue with a lot of games, like Gearbox software.
It's really weird. Where they're like, well, we'll give characters voice lines, and it's like, okay, how many do you think they need? And they're like 20 lines, and they'll say a line every minute, and it's like, so
yeah, the line's 20 minutes in.
That's not enough, and it's like, well, voice actors are expensive, and it's like, yeah, but also no.
Yeah, but like see, I would like people are like voice actors are expensive, and I'm like, I would understand that, but the simple fact is that there are 2 companies that I know that have completely different viewpoints on this subject. One is Gearbox, a company that has a ton of money and can do basically whatever they want. But their characters constantly come out under voice lines, so you hear the same repetitive lines. And like going into Borderlands 2, they needed to fix that because they had like a lot of redundant lines, but your characters were still all mutes to what was going on around them, and they had some pretty repetitive voice lines. They said their voice lines less often than the characters in the first one did. And yes, in the added like 4 or 5 expansions, like the little mini ones that take like an hour to play through, which are all actually pretty cool. Your characters do actually have voice lines in them. So it's like, because like I liked Gage a fair amount playing the game, but then I didn't like really just like love the character until I played like the last few expansions as her. You know, like hearing her just do stuff and just like, you know, because she's one of those characters that's just
because you don't. It's like you play for 40 hours and get very little characterization, and then it's like, oh, these expansions that are character specific. Like an hour, you're like, I learned more about this character than I did going through the whole 40-hour campaign.
Yeah, and then that's why I like the pre-sequel as the most out of the 3, because your characters all have voice lines for everything. All your characters have opinions on what's going on.
Yeah.
They talk about stuff.
I think that's proper characterization is just so important and isn't really done well in most modern games. It's like some of the most influential characters of modern gaming are like voiceless robots, right? Like Master Chief. Everybody knows Master Chief, and like he's started saying more, but like he's faceless, and oftentimes he doesn't speak. Like during the cutscenes is it. Like
like he does say stuff during cutscenes, but like most of the time, especially in the original trilogy, it was Cortana talking.
Yeah.
And like Cortana was kind of just that character because Master Chief is more worried about, you know, gunning down Covenant than talking, and Cortana's the one in the back of his head talking to the captain of a ship or a Covenant
like he
leader.
Never says anything like, oh, this is bad or that's interesting. It's just like
luckily
murder, soldier rage, and then every now and then he's like, Cortana, I need coordinates, and you're just like, he's just right, like he's a jarhead soldier basically. which is fine, but it struggles to make an interesting main character when he doesn't have like is like, oh, I have no trauma or personal story that like is a huge part of soldier movies, right? It's like, oh, what did you leave back home, or like, what drove you to join the army? It's like, I was taken as an experiment. I kill things now because the government tells me to, and also world-ending events.
I mean, like, if there's one thing I can give him is that they gave him a lot to do in the third Halo, like with like the removal of like Cortana and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like, yeah, he kind of like stepped back away from it, and like he had to like do his own thing to get her back. And then Halo 4 was really big on that, especially with the ending of it, which I'm not going to talk about, because that'll be probably a Let's Play eventually.
Yeah.
But like they characterized the Chief a lot more, especially in the third and fourth one, because like he was the one doing most of the talking in it, and like before he was much more a like speaks with his actions, not with his words type of thing. But then like they made him so that he kind of speaks as much as he does.
Yeah, but I think like it's something that a lot of games don't do well, and I think like the first Orcs Must Die did it really, really well. The second one didn't do it quite as well, but that's because they were splitting their focus between two characters, and one of them was already established. Well, both of them were actually already established, so it was less about
not as established. You like because she was just basically a voice in your head, but like you had her personality down.
Yeah, so they're building on what they had, so it makes more sense. And I really wish there were more videos in Orcs Must Die, the first and second one, because they're really good. They're really funny. They build on lore. They're important. Like, there's really interesting things.
Yeah.
That happen. But
yeah, what I was going to get at is that the two companies that do voice acting completely different was Gearbox, which, as we know, is a company I complain about for having a lot of money but under voice acting their characters, which I don't understand why so many people love Borderlands 2 but like hated on the pre-sequel.
Yeah.
But like just because I thought the pre-sequel was way better. But then like on the opposite side of it is Digital Extremes, which is a company that runs Warframe. And like the thing about Warframe is that like, yeah, you play like the characters you play, the Warframes that you play, they're voiceless. They don't say anything. But like they aren't afraid to give lines to everybody else. Like all your major villains, all the people that help you, all the syndicate leaders, everybody else has lines. Everybody else talks to you. Yeah, eventually, like for how long I've been playing, it gets pretty redundant. But like when you're first starting out, there was a lot of voice lines in that game, and every character has something to like mock you or talk or like say something to you. You know?
Yeah.
And like that's pretty cool. And like they weren't afraid just to give voice to everybody.
Yeah.
But like, and it's like just a free-to-play game, and they really didn't need to. And it's just like they're like, but no, let's just do it. Why not?
Well, it's something that sets companies apart is proper characterization and voice lines, because like gameplay and whatever is always going to be judged, graphics, but like actually putting effort into your universe and your characters is something that for some reason people don't need to feel they don't have to expect, and people are becoming a lot more vocal about that now, that video games are becoming respected as like an art form, right? Like, because in literature it's like if your character doesn't have a motivation to do something, like you can't get away with that. And in video games it was just like, he wants to kill stuff, so he's gonna kill stuff. And it's like,
and like it's okay to have that in like a number of games, because like it's like
Doom.
like Doom, like what is the Doom guy doing? You know what the plot of the second Doom was? Hell killed his favorite pet bunny. He went to go kill Hell. That was the plot line of Doom 2.
Yeah. So it's like
that was just whatever. There was just an obscure plot. Like it was just a gag to stick on the front of just like one of the most.
Well, that's where Doom was. Like Doom was the original like faceless, voiceless
Space Marine.
And so like that's fine. And I'd rather they make it like a funny thing like that than like a 5-minute intro where it's like, he realized his job wasn't done type of thing, right? Like,
Like they ran with it, you know?
Yeah.
Because like the game's not serious. Like you're shooting demons from hell. You know?
Yeah.
Like it knew better. But when they had to get serious with Doom 3, they did it fucking right. Because that game was atmospheric, everything was voice acted really well, the graphics were outstanding, and it just dripped atmosphere.
Yeah.
And like your character talked just enough, and you found just enough people to keep you paranoid and talking, and like that game just fucked with you. But that's amazing for id Software to go from like Doom 1 and Doom 2, and then to like just Doom 3.
Yeah,
which
they
was
definitely
just
performed properly. I'm not sure how the new Doom is. I'm not, like, it doesn't feel like it's going to be good. Because
No.
it just looks like... What was that game that didn't do very well? The one where, like, you jump, kick everything, and you have score multipliers and whatnot.
Oh,
It's just like
Bulletstorm. by
Bulletstorm.
Epic Games.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like another Bulletstorm.
Bulletstorm
basically.
was one of those games though that it got critically panned, but the people who played it liked it. It's the same problem as like the new Mad
Except
Max
for,
game.
like, it had lots of glitch problems and, like...
Yeah.
It
Apparently Epic Games fixed a bunch of that though. So like,
Yeah.
but it was just
eventually, but too many problems on launch is not how you make a game popular.
no. And like fucking launch games like Killing Floor 2. Like I like Killing Floor 2 and I love like Tripwire and like a lot of the games they make, but like Killing Floor 2 is going to be dead before they release its 1.0 patch. Because like drip feeding us content like once every couple of months is just, it's not going to happen, guys. If Killing Floor 2 is supposed to be your big IP,
it's weird. It's so weird how companies are doing this now. Is they're releasing betas and like kind of building the game around the beta, and they're like, "Oh, it's just a beta. Don't get all upset about it." It's like, well, I paid for it already. I knew it was a beta, but it's been a beta for like a year and a half.
Yeah.
Right? And they're just like, "Oh, we're still developing it and whatnot." You're like,
well,
yeah,
no,
eventually.
hold on. I'm going to take a step back from that position really quick. Because, like, I'm not against companies to use betas or anything like that. Like, it's fine to do that type of thing. And it's just like, yeah, we threw a game out in beta because, like, you just need people to bug test. And that's usually the biggest problem when games launch, is that it goes out there and there's just so many bugs you don't know about. And a lot of companies capitalize on that and fix their games very, very quickly. Battleborn had a lot of problems with its game, and apparently a lot of those problems were fixed in the past month before they were launched the game, which is great. That's awesome to see.
Well, I mean, that's a really good reason to have an open beta, is it attracts people who want to buy your game. You get free bug testing, like, because people are going to be running around doing all sorts of stupid junk.
Yeah.
For a free week, right?
Yeah. Like playing Battleborn. When I played Battleborn, like, my computer's not that good, but when I played it, the prologue for me was like, my computer fucking chugged through that prologue, but it was obviously pretty new. But then when I actually got to the main campaign missions that were much bigger and had much bigger enemy counts, I was fine. You know?
Yeah.
Like, and it's like, but the prologue, those two missions were playable in the open beta. So it's clear that whatever happened between that time to now, like, they polished it up and it runs fine. So, like, they obviously took good advantage of whatever they had. But, like, the prologue, like, as I said, like, it was just probably poorly optimized or something like that, because it made me chug. Like, just chug running that. But anyways, like, pulling back, or getting back onto the main subject of, like, the betas and stuff, like, I don't mind games who do like betas and stuff, but it's really a question of how long it's in beta. Because like Warframe is a game that some people complain about being perpetually in beta, but a lot of people don't understand that like Warframe, the main game, is in beta, but like Digital Extremes constantly warns that there are things in the game that are in beta. Like they constantly add in new systems and stuff like that, and they're like, okay, this system's new, it's in beta, it's not perfect and it's not complete yet. Because that's how they do it. They'll make a new system, put it in the game, and then update it.
Yeah.
And it's just like, but people are like, it's perpetually in beta. I'm like, if you play the game, for the first like 10 hours, you're not even going to encounter this system, because it's probably an end game system anyways, because it's just being more late game content, just being tacked on. But like, But the thing that gets me for Tripwire is weird because they're treating the game like you should a real early access thing, where like they release like a completed version of the game, which is what they did with like the initial 4 or 5 classes or whatever, and then like they slowly add on more and more content to that. But that at the same time bothers me because I feel like they should be putting out updates more often because of that. Because like they don't really have to bug fix the game. The bugs are almost non-existent. I never have problems with servers or anything like that. And then it's just like, but then you like drip feed us new content. Like, what was the last big update? It was the Demolitionist update that introduced the Catacomb map. Was like the last big update.
Yeah.
And
before
then
this really recent one.
Yeah. And then we got the Gunslinger since then, but just the Gunslinger.
Yeah.
Oh, the Gunslinger
we just got Prison and PvP.
Yeah.
Which is a huge thing. Like, I didn't know they were going to add PvP to the game, and that makes me like less critical about it because like that's a huge deal.
Yeah, that's a big thing. Yeah. That definitely does change. Like that just definitely changed my perspective a little bit on it. But like, you guys could have talked about it. Because I would have been way less critical of you guys. But at the same time, it's still one of those things where it's like, it's not the same people working on the PvP as it is working on the classes and the guns. And like, in the original Killing Floor, if I start up my Killing Floor right now, I have so many fucking guns. For all of my classes. And I get some of them are just reskins, like the golden weapons and shit like that. But like, I use, like... Guys, you need to put out content more often, like at least every couple of weeks. Even if like every...
Well, that's how I feel with all open betas though, right? Like, you have this game, it's something that people are expecting. A lot of people have either bought things for your game or purchased it entirely, and like if you don't give them things often enough, it's like your game is, one, going to die, and two, like hasn't been worth the value, right? Like you need to do things properly. You're making an arrangement with people. Open beta is not an excuse to not do work.
Yeah. Like there's one game that's an open beta. I think it's officially launched. It's called Space Engineers. It's basically Minecraft in space. You build like gigantic, like monstrosity spaceships and stuff like that, and you can like mine asteroids and all that jazz, and it's actually really cool. It's a really, really good game. But they update once a week. Even if it's just little things, like any like patches or like anything, just to constantly remind their community that they're always working on the game. Once a week, there is always a patch.
Yeah.
The only patch that they haven't done in the past year was Christmas.
Yeah, fair enough. I think that's like a pretty good philosophy. I don't know if it needs to be once a week, but like once every 2 weeks, once a month, releasing something or giving like minor changes. Like
well, Space Engineers, it's like small patches, like bug fixes and stuff. They just like whatever bugs they finished working on, they release a patch for it. That's just how it is. But like for games that are relying on like large content updates, like Killing Floor, at least every couple of weeks, give us something, a new gun. Come on.
Yeah. Like a new gun or a new class, like or a new map or a like new enemy type. Like a lot of those are big things, but I mean, it depends how many people they've got working on the game, and it depends like what their end goal is. But releasing more content is something that I'd really like to see more of from that game. But like Orcs Must Die specifically, I think doesn't have too many issues apart from like the basic game stuff. I think that all their systems are in place and they work really well. I think like the characters they have are solid. They have their place on a 5-man team. Not so much if you're playing with just like 1 or 2 friends. Some characters are not good for that.
Yeah.
And like not being able to double up a character, I think, is a really important thing to establish.
Yeah.
It's weird in Siege that you can, I feel that it would make more sense to do it like League or HOTS, where it's like a pick phase. I don't know that they need bans, but like a rotating pick phase would make sense.
Yeah.
But you can't really do that with like.
It's still early on. They might do that type of thing,
yeah.
and I don't think they have like even their ranked mode in yet. So like,
yeah.
I'll give them
it's
time.
fine the way it is for now.
Yeah.
I feel that there are some issues that I have with it just at the basic level, which is not having enough character stuff. But yeah, we've said this all already. But yeah, Orcs Must Die.
Oh, actually, something else cool about Battleborn. Your characters have lines when they're facing themselves in combat. Like when you kill, like playing the big guy Montana that I was streaming today. When you kill him in PvP, he's just like, guys, did I just? Oh, am I gonna fade away now? And I was just like, yes. I'm like, thank you.
Yeah, it's like details like that are like really cool and really important. And like currently Orcs Must Die, it needs to add plot stuff, it needs to add videos, like it needs to add a lot of content based things.
Yeah.
Like more maps instead of recycling their old maps.
Yeah. Like they did put in a new map
is fine.
Like they did put in a new map recently, but like
yeah.
It's hard for me to say because I don't know how to judge Robot Entertainment as a company because they're still technically an indie company, so they don't have a big acceleration of people. But it's like, so that's why I judge companies like Gearbox more harshly and Digital Extremes, because Digital Extremes, like, they're not some little indie company who made a hit free-to-play game. Digital Extremes was an established company that's been around for like 25 years.
Yeah.
You know, so like, they're not just some little shit stain of a company on the bottom of EA's shoe, you know?
Yeah. I don't know. Games that really flop are different than games where you're waiting to see where they're going.
Yeah. Orcs Must Die Unchained, though, is definitely one of those games where, like, I'm watching it, and, like, I'm wondering how well they'll do. Because, like, I'm looking at, like Trendy Entertainment's Dungeon Defenders 2 is another good example, because that's another tower defense game. They release steady updates. They give you content that encourages you to play on a month-to-month basis.
Yeah.
You know? For at least a little bit. And, like, past, like, that first, like, terrible month of stuff, it's honestly not that hard to get all the newer stuff, like the monthly goals.
Yeah.
Like, you could get all the monthly goals in a handful of matches now if you know where to go. And like they've expanded the campaign and added new maps and levels. They've added in like two or three new heroes.
Yeah. I mean, Dungeon Defenders 2 is the kind of game where it's like once it's complete, I'll play through the whole campaign once to see their plot and whatnot, and then I'll probably be done with it. Because it seems like it's fun, but it seems like really grindy if you want to do it on harder modes, and it seems
like even when we were playing on harder modes, when like we were getting up to higher tier, like it wasn't hard. Like that was the problem, and
it was just like this isn't difficult because
it's hard.
Like,
it's
actual difficulty. It's difficult because things just have stats that are too high.
Yeah. And like that was normally a thing, and then at some point it would be like, oh, we would play pretty far into this level, get a bunch of gear drops out of it, and it's like, oh well, we each found 2 pieces of gear that like doubled our stat. We'd replay it and just plow through the level like it was nothing.
Yeah,
and it was just like, oh, I guess we just won.
It's really, really weird to me that a game like that has such a poor system in place for being stronger. It's basically like, oh, you want to have gear to do tier 4 extreme or whatever the mode is, then you have to play on that mode, get the drops, and then like struggle for as long as you can, and then keep going through it until you have gear to do that difficulty, and then you go to the next tier.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things where we it's Dungeon Defenders 2 again is just part of it too. I understand it because they wanted to avoid the trap of the original Dungeon Defenders that they just boned. And a lot of people complained about them re-releasing Dungeon Defenders 1, like the Dungeon Defenders Eternia or whatever it was, which is like you buy this game again for $20, but it's Dungeon Defenders plus every piece of DLC plus all the characters all put together and then rebalanced all throughout the game so that your character progression is actually way more steady and your gear progression is way more steady.
Yeah. Well, that's a trap that Orcs Must Die is just avoided by not having gear. Like their system, like Orcs Must Die U, that's going to be different because that's a thing that they deal with. But 1 and 2, their system is like you play the game, you collect skulls, you update things, you just upgrade. And it's like a flat progression system. It's not complicated.
Yeah.
It's preference and synchronization that you get to choose.
Yeah. I think that's my big problem with Orcs Must Die 2, and I'll worry about this because I call this the, it's my coined term, the League of Legends syndrome, where a company starts putting out updates and stuff like that on a consistent basis, like League of Legends. Because League of Legends did that. Every 2 weeks they had a new champion. Do you remember that? For 2.5 years?
Yes.
Their game got completely out of control. They weren't giving themselves time to balance stuff. They weren't giving themselves time to change stuff. They weren't giving themselves to update stuff. The game got completely out of hand. And then eventually League of Legends, somewhere in that shit show, ended up the leader in esports, and Riot Games ended up probably the most profitable company on the planet. At least gaming company on the planet. And and it was just like, when did that happen? I didn't fucking notice. It happened at some point. So what happens is that so what they did is that they slowed down and started doing it, but the problem is that the damage was already done for me, because like it's the reason I started drifting away from League of Legends. Even though they started fixing it, and like now it's like the last couple of seasons have been like really well balanced and much more fair to play, and they're really big on top of like balancing stuff. They're not doing that. Yeah. And Warframe, one of my favorite games currently, is suckering into that trap pretty quickly, because they're putting out updates, but they're not going back and fixing a lot of their old stuff. Like, I'll take a mechanic they put in. It's the Kubros. They're basically dogs, because you can get companions. Normally, they're little sentinels that just kind of like float over your shoulder. They're kind of like little bread boxes with guns that shoot things for you and have little abilities. But then, of course, Kubros are dogs. They replace your companion slot, so instead of having a sentinel, you have a dog that follows you around and does a lot of things. Fights enemies, can help restore your shields, can like dig stuff up for you, open up chests and stuff, which is great. That's awesome. But like, they instigated Kubros about 2 years ago, a year and a half ago. And they started off Kubros with 4 different types of Kubros that all had like a couple of abilities each and stuff like that, you know. It wasn't too bad. Since then, they've put in one more kind of Kubro. And then like every so often they'll like give them like armor and stuff like that you can put on your Kubro. Not like stat armor, just like cosmetic stuff.
Yeah.
Because that's how they are. They don't make everything that affects the game you can get in game, and then you just buy cosmetics. Like a smart free-to-play game.
That's good.
But like, that's just an example. And then you would think, well, it's just a support system, right? So like, it's not like a big focus of the game, since like your Warframe's the big thing, and they still update those and give you new weapons and stuff like that, which is great. But like, a year and a half, and all they've ever done is put in like one more Kubro type, isn't like a big thing. Like, they haven't even put in like new mods for it to affect its abilities or anything. Like, they have added in one more mod for your Kubros that affect its abilities. And that's it. That's it. And it's just like, so in like a year and a half that these guys have been out, you put in one more Kubro and one more mod. And like, but then they kind of had to like abandon the system and do the next update.
Yeah.
You know? And like, I worry that if Orcs Must Die wants to be taken seriously, or at least Orcs Must Die Unchained wants to be taken seriously, they'll fall into the League of Legends syndrome, where like they're going to start pumping out updates, and like they're going to get into the groove of it, and then 2 big things will happen. They're coming from a game where they release the game, bug fix it, and then drop it, and they're not going to balance stuff.
Yeah.
They're going to leave their characters terribly imbalanced, and they're going to leave their traps and monsters terribly imbalanced, regardless of what the opinion of the community is. Hopefully they'll listen to their community. And the other big thing is that they're going to drown themselves in updates.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I can see that. But that's always a trap with MOBA games.
it's not even
Is-
just MOBA games. Some companies just fall into that.
Yeah, but with MOBA games it's especially prevalent because like new content gives them more opportunity to sell things,
Yep.
which is how they make their money. At least with games where it's like it's bought, it's paid for, boom, done. Like their updates are more focused on making players enjoy it rather than introducing stuff that people want to buy,
Yeah.
which is like, like the whole Payday 2 fiasco that we're not going to get into because
Yeah,
that's
no,
been covered.
If we keep going
but-
down this, we should probably cut this off at some point too, because if we keep
Oh,
going
no,
down
no,
this
it's
rabbit hole,
fine.
it's gonna end.
We've only been talking for like an hour over
An
like
hour and
a
10
blank a
minutes.
campaign menu screen.
I've been looking through my spellbook and stuff. Like I stopped that like 30 minutes ago.
Yeah.
No,
No,
like I should have like I might just split this episode into.
Yeah,
like,
you're definitely going to have to split this.
Yeah.
It's fine. Like
I might not even make this apart. I'll probably just put this like the OMD ramble.
OMD Ramble bonus video.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's a problem with a lot of games. Like especially Payday 2 is probably the best example. Killing Floor 2, like
Killing Floor 2
they introduce stuff where it's like you can buy this, but it's cosmetic stuff. It doesn't affect the gameplay. That's fine. It's when like Payday 2 does it, where it's like, oh, you can buy these things that actually give you stats, and it's like, nope, screw you. That's a line you do not cross, especially after saying repeatedly and very strongly that you would never do that.
Yeah. And then like now, Overkill is a perfect example of like one of like a really big scumbag company though, because like I was forgiving for them for a little while because I really liked Payday 2, and like there's still times when I go back, I just start up and I'll play a couple of maps just for shits and giggles, because like I think Payday 2 is great. Like it is. Like I love the system. I still love the way it feels. I like the character trees. They are releasing an update in like at the next week or something like that revamps a bunch of the character trees, and they're not doing like the soft like it's another revamp like they did a while ago after they released like the 5th perk deck tree, where they like went back through and they buffed up a bunch of the skills and stuff like that. They're going back through. They're almost completely reworking the technician tree now.
Yeah.
And
Well,
like
that's forever.
Yeah, and they're removing and replacing some of the like lesser taken perks and stuff from like the Mastermind and Enforcer trees.
Well,
and the Ghost
that's
trees.
like that makes perfect sense. It's like you've had this game for a long time. You have those statistics. It's like this stuff doesn't get used. It's underpowered or it's niche or whatever, and it's like okay, just get rid of it entirely. Replace it with an entirely different like, not tree but branch. Right? It's like, oh, people have to take this. People don't take this stuff except that they need points in this tree to get the stuff on a different branch.
Yep.
And it's like, okay, just get rid of it. Maybe introduce something that people want to take,
Yep.
or that's at least like a passive that's helpful, if not great.
Yeah, because like the I don't know, Payday 2 had a few of those problems. Like it slightly alleviated it with the like the introduction of their deck system, because like taking away like the tiered perk buffs definitely made it a lot easier for you to like spec into trees, because you would just go into trees to get what you wanted, not the passive buffs, which is great.
Yeah.
But like changing it over a little bit so that you could like choose a perk deck of your own to help benefit you in certain ways was like a very, very smart move on their part. And on top of that, making it so that those don't reset, so it's just like something you always progress towards, was also a very smart idea. So it helps a lot in a couple of those aspects. But like Overkill is a company where it's like they fell into the trap of releasing DLC and not going back and fixing their game, like over and over and over again. They fell into the exact same trap that Warframe's starting to fall into and that League of Legends did for a while. But like the big problem with Overkill is that they charge for all their DLC, and that changes everything.
Yes.
Because like it's not even like cheap most of the time. Like
Yeah,
I can
it's
pay
like $5 for a map.
yeah, no, Jesus, no, like 8 to 10.
Ugh.
Like if it was like $5, I would complain less. But like it's $5 for like the new set of like masks and guns and augment mods and like patterns and colors and stuff like that, and like that's kind of okay. But like it's pretty stupid on how they just like put this new shit, this new DLC in the game just whenever the hell they feel like it. And it's just like, and then like people were like, oh, and then like once a year Overkill will give us like a free update, and it's like, oh, they give us like one new map and like 2 guns, and then like a character, and it's like, oh boy, that'll make up for the $60 to $70 I spent in your fucking game.
That's the DLC cost. The game itself is like a 40 or 50 or whatever dollar game.
Yeah, but
and it's
like 90% of the game now is DLC.
Yeah,
like there's more content in its like $100 to $150 worth of DLC than there is in the game itself, which is fucking terrible.
Yeah, and I mean they still haven't fixed basic gameplay issues, which is like that is unacceptable.
And like the thing is that I would be completely willing to overlook the gameplay issues if like they were just giving me DLC, because like the gameplay issues are like they're game breaking from like time to time, but like it's not a constant problem.
Yeah, it's like usually just like whatever. Like it doesn't usually come up, but when it does, it's just terrible.
Yeah,
and it's not a bug; it's just straight up poor programming.
Oh yeah. Like enemies walking through walls because for some reason they separated off their patrol path for a couple of seconds.
From 20 feet.
Yeah, or getting handcuffed through a wall, through stairs.
Yeah,
the stairs was my favorite one. Was Artemis's favorite story was getting handcuffed through a flight of stairs. I was with him. I watched him as we were backing away from a dude, and the guy was walking above us on a flight of stairs. And he was just spontaneously handcuffed, and the guy started calling in on him. I'm like, I don't know what happened.
Without being detected, it's just like, what?
Yeah, and it's just like
it's like a distance to character thing, right? Not taking into account,
sightline
wall.
Yeah, no, it's pretty bad. And like that's the worst thing too about it is that Payday 2 works amazing if you're going loud, but like if you're just gunning your way through a mission, never had problems with that. I can hate on cloakers all I want, but like we can avoid those.
Yeah, but it's like it almost all the missions. It's like if you do it silent, you get an extra reward, and it also like some missions you basically have to do them silently or you just get screwed. So that's like it's like this thing happened, it's terrible, but we weren't playing on whatever the one time only mode is.
Deathwish.
No, one time only. Is that Deathwish or is that a difficulty?
Deathwish is the hardest difficulty?
Yeah, I know. I mean pro.
Yeah, pro
mission. It's like, oh, I got handcuffed through a wall in a stealth or bust mission, and it was a one chance only. And you're like, well, we just wasted, like, if it's day 3 of the
framing
frame, it's like, oh, we just wasted an hour.
Oh my god, I love
no rewards.
I love that when you do fucking framing frame, you can get through the first mission undetected and go do the training on the second one. And on Deathwish, it's a 50-50 dice roll whether or not the cops show up and just fucking rape you for all the money you're trying to carry around. And I'm like, fuck you, game.
It's just like, literally nobody noticed us. How did we end? Like, oh, they got really good detectives. And it's like, if they had really good detectives, they would realize that the guys walking around in full body armor are the same people when they have their masks off as when they have their masks on.
No, every detective on the police force is William Dafoe from the Boondock Saints, where he gets everything wrong and the one bumbling asshole underneath him gets it right every time. Maybe they just fell through the roof and spun around and shot everybody. you're fucking stupid, okay? Just let me do it. And he like goes through his thing talking about what like the best conclusion would be, and the other guy's right every time. And it's just, oh my god, I love that. I love that dynamic so much.
Yeah.
Where it's like, this is the least likely thing that could have happened. He's like, shut the fuck up. And I'm like, so good. So good. It's just like, but like, that's what it is. William Dafoe's in there, and he's just fucking, like, misleading everybody by giving the most logical answer to everything. No way this could have happened. They must have done like this. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yep.
Jesus, this part's an hour and 20 minutes now. Let's
That's
see.
probably a good cutoff point. Like, I'm not a specialist in the field, but that's probably a long time, right?
Yeah, that's a long time.
Maybe.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to cut this thing into 2 parts. Cut it off at the 30-minute mark when we finished the campaign map we were on. And then 50 minutes of us bitching at each other.
No, we were having a civil discussion.
Okay.
I've abandoned you.
I know. Okay.
He'll just be talking alone.
Alright. Okay. I need to end the recording. Thank you guys for listening through this, I guess, if you're still here. If you guys liked what you heard, just like, subscribe, and comment, and you'll get more opinions thrown at you later. Bye.
I'll be